afternoon and welcome along to Matchday Live for Leicester City's first away trip of this new season, which of course started 5 days ago with a point at home to Tottenham.
It's just 3 months since the heady day in May when Leicester lifted the League Championship trophy to mark an instant Premier League return. Since then, it's been a summer of change on Fullback Way as Steve Cooper becomes the man at the helm to lead City back into the top flight this evening. Takes the corner, flicks on at the near post, brilliant goal-saving challenge from Wilfred and Didi. To Madison, he's now on the edge of the area. Low ball in, header, goal. And Spurs have taken the lead with Pedro Porro, the right back. Zach Ayew on the Leicester right. He's crossed Vardy! Jamie Vardy! Again for Leicester City. Ageless, priceless and timeless Jamie Vardy. Just a few yards out. Lovely layoff to Buonanotte. And Vardy is in on goal. Jamie Vardy, saved by Vicario. 6 yards out, left-hand side, racing onto the path. Game 1 done, 37 to go. And the first point is on the board. And the final score inside King Power Stadium. Leicester City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1.
Yes, game number 1 out of the way. Point number 1 on the board for the Foxes. Today it's their first away game of the season as the Foxes travel to West London to face Fulham at Craven Cottage. Let's get all of today's team news straight off the bat for Leicester City, who remain unchanged from the side that drew with Spurs just under a week ago. Of course, that means it's Mads Hermansen in goal, Christensen, Faes, Vestergaard and Justin across the back four, with Winks and Ndidi in midfield, Decordova-Reid, Buonanotte and Fatawu. In behind that man again, Jamie Vardy. On the bench, and potentially for the first time in Leicester City shirts, we will see Oliver Skipp and Jordan Ayew. We'll talk about him a little bit later on during the show. Danny Ward, Okoli, Mavididi, Chowdhury, Ayew, Ricardo, Skipp, Samari and McAteer are the substitutes for the Foxes. Right, from a Fulham point of view then, this is how they line up. They lost very narrowly and very late on the opening weekend away at Manchester United. They've got Leno in goal, Robinson, former Leicester man of course, Calvin Bassey, certainly former Leicester Academy player, Calvin Bassey, Diop and Tete make up the rest of the back four, with Lukic and Pereira in midfield, Iwobi, Smith Rowe and Adama support Muniz up top. Those of you may have spotted us, who we've got in the studio. I'm Dan Bates, we've got David Nugent and Jerry Taggart in the studio with me ahead of the first away game of the season. How are we both feeling?
Yeah, good. Great point last week. Tremendous second half to the game. I think we were just, saying afterwards that the momentum that Leicester had was thwarted by that long term, or the time it took to sort that head injury out. And it sort of swam back slightly in Tottenham's favour before the end of the game. But definitely for the most part, that second half performance was very encouraging.
Yeah, as you said, momentum. That second half performance we can take a lot of courage from. First off, I think everyone you could say we were on the back foot. For the majority of the 45 minutes. Could have been a lot more than one goal. And we stayed in the game. So that's positive. And then second half is a total swing. We got the goal through Vards. There's a few little clips, Harry Winks and Fatu on the right hand side, winning the ball back straight away, straight after the goal, which got the fans going. Then obviously Vards had the chance, didn't he, on his left foot to make it 2-1. But first game of the season, Tottenham, one of the favourites of Champions League football. We're on the league table with a point, and we can't ask for anything more.
And I guess because of the fact that it ended positively, and Leicester did do well in the second half. I remember thinking on the Tuesday, I was like, you want that game to be really soon now against Fulham, don't you? And hopefully they will feel that momentum. Yeah, I think,
it's always difficult when you go into a new season. And especially as a new manager coming into a new club and a new set of players you're dealing with, how exactly you set your team up in the opening game of the season against, a big club in Tottenham. So I'm sure Steve Cooper would be the first to admit that he got his tactics slightly miscued in that first half, but You know, he went in at half time, sorted it out. They came out a different side in the second half. So you have to give him credit for that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what game of football you're involved in. It's not always how you start, it's how you finish a game. And definitely the finish of that game against Tottenham will have, you know, give everybody a real confidence boost, a real bit of encouragement going into this game today.
Yeah, hopefully the lads will be invigorated heading into the trip to face Fulham this afternoon. We've got plenty coming up between now and kick-off, of course, here on Matchday Live. We will take a look back in further detail at that game against Spurs, particularly Jamie Vardy, of course, the headline maker, for a number of reasons. Jamie Vardy, we'll get to that a bit later. We'll hear from Wout Faes as well. He's been speaking ahead of this game against Fulham, as well as his manager, Steve Cooper, of course, has been facing the media, as ever, ahead of a Premier League game. Before we do all of that, though, there was some news, of course, last night. Jordan Ayew has signed on a long-term deal from Crystal Palace. Let's hear his first words as a Leicester City player.
The manager wants you, you just want to come and work under him and improve as well. I'm really, really pleased to be here. I took the decision to come to Leicester because I think that Leicester is a big club. So nothing is going to be easy. We have to fight as a team. We have to make sure that we give good performances, and that's what we're going to do. Hopefully we have a great season all together with the fans, and you know, I'm really, really confident that this year will be a good year.
Jordan, firstly, welcome to Leicester City. How are you feeling to officially be here now?
Very, very happy to be here. Proud. I want to thank the club, of course, the manager, the CEO, the chairman, everyone, because they fought hard to bring me to this football club, and I'm really, really pleased to be here. It happened quick, so the important thing is that I'm here and I'm ready to start.
You mentioned the manager there. What sort of conversations have you had with Steve Cooper around what he wants from you, and also the ambitions for the team this season as well?
On the phone, he just explained to me how he wanted to use me, and you know, as a player, you don't really demand much. When you hear that a manager wants you, you just want to come and work under him and improve as well, because even though I'm 32, I still need to improve in a lot of aspects, and he assured me that he's going to make sure that I improve as a player and as a person as well. So me coming here today is not like I'm just coming to just hang around, and I'm coming here to work hard and to make sure that I help the team, the squad, to get to the target.
You're arriving after 6 years at Crystal Palace. Was the opportunity of a fresh challenge something which also excited you to come here?
I spent lovely 6 years at Crystal Palace, of course, and we all know it's part of my heart, and you know, but in life you always need a change, you know, new energy, and you know, with obviously there's a new manager in who's going into a different direction, and you know, so as well the club is growing, so the most important thing is that I had to make a decision, and I took the decision to come to Leicester because I think that Leicester is a big club, first of all, and I feel like it's a big opportunity for me, and to obviously show what I can do, and especially help the team achieve their targets, and you know, hopefully we have a great season all together with the fans, and you know, I'm really, really confident that this year will be a good year.
That was Jordan Ayew there speaking for the first time as a Leicester City player. You can watch that full interview exclusively on the app up until this evening. So make sure you download the app and head on to that to hear the full interview with Jordan Ayew there. It's a new signing. It's another player in the door. We spoke about Oliver Skipp on Monday before that game. That was announced ahead of that one. Jordan Ayew has been announced ahead of this one. He finds himself on the bench. What are your thoughts on the signing?
Yeah, I think maybe that gives a little sign into how Steve Cooper's going to go this season with his players. You know, he's one of the hardest working players in the Premier League. He's obviously got the experience. He's been in the Premier League for a long time now. Hopefully he'll bring that into the team. We've got a young group, you know, in Fatawi, Mavididi, Buonanotte. You know, they're young players, inexperienced players in the top end of the pitch. So bringing that bit of experience will hopefully help them younger players as well.
Yeah, and again, he knows the Premier League. As you said, it's important young players that know the Premier League. Jerry said we got young players who's having the first attempt at playing against these big teams, and no, but he brings. He's not going to play as a number 9. He's not very prolific as a goal scorer, but what he does bring is his work rate, his strength. You know, win fouls, and as you've seen with Steve Cooper's side, he wants them front three to work hard, and if he comes in, plays with his capabilities, I think he can be a real asset to the club.
Yeah, I think what you've seen last Monday night against Tottenham in that second half, when Leicester put Tottenham under pressure, was they couldn't cope with it. They couldn't cope with the intensity that Leicester were playing at times in that second half. And you're talking about, you know, a club in Tottenham that are going, you know, are trying to get to that next step and get in the Champions League, and Leicester unsettled them. And that's what Jordan Ayew will bring to Leicester City. He will unsettle players. As Dave's just said, you know, he gets fouled repeatedly, you know, which is great for two different reasons. You know, getting yourself up the pitch, getting free kicks in good areas, or on the other side, taking the sting out of the game when you need a little bit of respite. You know, it's vital. You know, if you've got a player a bit like what's his name at Man City, whose name escapes me, the little winger at Man City.
Nada?
No, the other one who came from Aston Villa.
Grealish.
You know, he was great at getting fouls in the top end of the pitch, just taking the sting out of the game, and that's what Ayew will bring. You know, just a vital component to the side.
I think we'll see it in the last half of the game as well. I think he might get half an hour today. Say we're winning 1-0 up, he could come on, you know, take the sting out of the game, like Jerry said, win fouls in the corners. You know, not many players want to play up against Jordan Ayew because he's a handful.
And he has got that technical quality. We've seen that a number of times in a Crystal Palace shirt.
Yeah, especially the end of last season. You know, Palace had a really good strong to the finish. You know, Eze, Elise, Jordan Ayew, Mateta up there. You know, so he knows what the Premier League's about, and that's important. You know, you don't want to bring a player in who has no Premier League experience because you don't know what you're going to get from them. But Jordan Ayew, it's written on the tin. You know what you're going to get, and that's vital in the Premier League. Yeah,
I think sometimes you judge from what the opposition fans think. So Crystal Palace fans themselves, in the comments, they were very sad to see him go, and that probably tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, you know, obviously you haven't watched them umpteen times in the past when Leicester were in the Premier League and gone down to Crystal Palace. You know, as Dave said, he's not the most prolific. He's got ability. Do you know what I mean? He has got ability. But basically, just his work rate, he's tireless with his work rate. And that may be something that, you know, well, it'll definitely be something that Leicester are going to have this season. I'm seeing it again in that second half.
Particularly away from home.
Particularly away from home, that you're going to have to dig in, you're going to have to dig deep, and you're going to have to work hard, more so without the ball at times than with it, to make sure, you know, you're securing valuable points for the club.
Yeah, we see him on the bench. Oliver Skipp, of course, on the bench as well. You presume we'll see both of those at some point in the second half. Again, two pieces of business that you can see exactly what the thinking is with both of those.
Yeah. You know, Oliver Skipp, you know, pretty similar mode to Harry Winks, really. Both come from Tottenham. You know, really good on the ball, work hard for each other. You know, so I think that could be a good partnership, you know, in the long term. And then Jordan Ayew, you know, at Palace, there was how many managers at Palace he played every game. So he knows he's always available. You know, so the managers believe him just because of his work rate. But, you know, I think Steve Cooper said in the press conference he's missed out on a couple of signings. He's brought a couple in. She said he needs a couple more attacking players. Hopefully we can see that in the next couple of weeks before the window shuts.
Yeah, I think it's vitally important. It's good to hear that from Steve Cooper. You know, that he's still searching for one or two players to come in before the end of the window. But, you know, Oliver Skipp, and that again shows you a sign, you know, bringing in Skipp, and you've already got Winks in that he's desperate to try and control that midfield area of the pitch in games. You know, Harry Winks showed it the other night at times. You know, when they were confident enough to give him the ball, that he broke the lines umpteen times on Monday night and showed that quality. And obviously Skipp, being a similar type of player, you're expecting him to bring that control as well.
I think Skipp can get a bit more forward than Harry Winks as well. You know, Skipp's, you know, indeed, Winks, all totally different players. So it's for them options for the manager to have, if they are, you know, need a more advanced runner in a game, and then Wolf's going to be that guy who does it if he plays. Where if you're up against a Man City, you might need Skip and Winks both just sitting there, protecting the back four. So he's got options there to change it if he needs to.
Absolutely. Right, let's see if we see Oliver Skip and Jordan Ayew in the second half. You'd assume you probably will. There were a number of debuts, of course, on Monday evening, certainly Premier League debuts for a number of players as well in that draw with Spurs.
Short, it's come to the edge of the box to Son. A left-footed curling ball. It's a diving header, but it's straight at Mads Hermansen. I think it was Romero on the far side, who did have a lot of space. In fact, Solanke gets it onto his right foot. A direct cross, a header that's just wide. Again, it was one of the Spurs defenders. I think it was Romero. It was slightly behind him, had to adjust his body, but it was still a powerful header. Son on the Leicester left into Maddison. He's now on the edge of the area. Low ball in, header, goal. And Spurs have taken the lead with Pedro Porro, the right back, who has made his way to the 6-yard area. And James Maddison, so often creating goals on this ground in a blue shirt. Tonight he creates one for his new team in Spurs. Here's Son, James Justin quickly closing down. Buonanotte, this is positive for Leicester. Vardy on the edge of the area, touches it onto Bobby Decordova-Reid. It's a block by Pape Sarr, the flag raised anyway. It's the most encouraging sign that these Leicester City fans have had. Quick closing down from Justin, and then Fatawu involved. He's joined by Ndidi. It's fed into Christiansen. It's a low ball across the 6-yard area. Comes out Fatawu on the Leicester right. He's crossed Vardy! Jamie Vardy! Again for Leicester City. Ageless, priceless and timeless Jamie Vardy. Just a few yards out for Fatawu, the youngster with the cross. And Vardy just continues to add to his Leicester goal-scoring tally. An equaliser at King Power Stadium. It's 1-1.
Well, it's vintage Vardy, isn't it?
Vintage Vardy, indeed. Jerry Taggart pleased with himself with that one. It was a roller coaster, wasn't it, on Monday?
Yeah, I say the first half. You can see, the chances that Spurs had, most of them from crosses. And in fairness to Spurs, they had 2v1s all the way through that first half for getting crosses in the box and headed chances for Tottenham, amongst other ones. But, you're thinking, watching it, that sooner or later Tottenham have got to stick one in the back of the net, and they did. But say the second half was a complete turnaround. And the vintage Vardy was because everyone gets dragged towards the ball and he just walks to the edge of the 6-yard box. Doesn't sprint, doesn't jog, he walks and waits. Used all that vintage experience that he's got. And in the end, it's a simple headed goal for him.
Yeah, I think we showed Tottenham a bit too much respect in the first half. You could see it all in the first half. Son and Maddison were controlling the game. They had a lot of efforts, from crosses into the box, and in the end, he scored from one. But again, as we said, the second half, Vards wasn't even in the game, was he, before he scored? He's probably getting a little bit frustrated, but he's using his experience in the game now where he just waits for that chance. Reminds me a bit like Jermaine Defoe when I was at Portsmouth. Didn't really do nothing in the games, but given that chance, bang, back of the net goal. And that's what it was like against Tottenham. And then again, straight after, he could have got the second one for the winner, but, Vards knows his body now. He is getting on a bit. And he's got to control it when he can. He can't run like a headless chicken anymore like we used to when we played together. But he's still got that instinct of in front of goal where if you give him a chance, 9 times out of 10 it'll end up in the back of the net.
And that experience he showed there is priceless.
Look at this passion as well.
Yeah, absolutely priceless. You say you can't teach that. You can teach that, but in the heat of the moment, when the stakes are so high, do younger players, are they able to compute that and what that means? Just to don't get involved, just hang out, take your time, take a deep breath, the ball will come your way. And that is why that is priceless from Vardy.
We can see the goal again, Nugent, and like Jerry's made a good point about him just standing still. Sometimes you as a forward, is that almost the best thing you can do?
It's second phase, and after he tackles all the first cross, goes straight across the 6-yard box, done it. Yeah. No one gets on the end of it, then Fatu picks up on the right-hand side and delivers across, and Vards just stood there. He's walking. He's just been in a place on the pitch where he thinks he's going to score a goal. And to be fair, Porro can't get back in from the first cross. know, he's wide open behind. I think it's Christian Romero who can't get there either, and it's a great ball by Abdullah. Just a typical Jamie Vardy header inside the 6-yard box to make it 1-1.
He had a lot of time, didn't he, with the ball coming over, and he probably knew how big a moment that is. How do you do that as a striker?
I think you just got to prepare yourself. You got to, think that the ball is going to land at your feet or your head as it does. You can't like change direction. We're going to see the second phase now where it comes back in. Look, he just stood there at the back post. No one's marking him. He's just waiting for the ball. And that's the hardest bit, putting it into the back of the net. But if he gets like he got a solid connection there. But if he just feints that, it probably goes wide. Gets too much on it, it probably goes too far past the other post.
But even the header itself, it's a textbook header down into the ground and up, because it makes it doubly hard. And obviously he's standing, isn't he? He's not in the air when he heads it, which makes it a bit harder to generate the power. So while he's probably waiting, David will know better than me. But in those scenarios, you're thinking down into the ground as hard as you can.
That's what you're taught when you're youngster. When you get in the header, you head it down, because the keeper, when they're standing up, they're that close. Keepers can't get down that quick. They got to try and save it with the feet, like Vicario tried to there. But he had to generate his own power with the header, because he was stood still. There wasn't that much pace on the cross. It's coming across his body, and he's the man for it. If you want anyone in there, it's Vards, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you, in that moment, you think about so many things, don't you? I'm just trying to think how you deal with that pressure of knowing it's a huge moment in the game to equalise, first game of the season. You want to get that point on the board. Yeah, all those things flash in your head, do they, at that time? Yeah,
potentially. Depends who you are, really. If you haven't scored for 20-odd games, you're probably thinking, oh my God, I've got a chance to score here. Am I going to control this shoot, header first time, or am I going to just bundle it into the box? But with Vardy, he's a natural goal scorer, so he knows in his head, if he gets a solid connection on the ball, it's a goal. And we've seen that, and he's done it for years and years, so no difference of what we've seen 10 years ago to now. He's a natural goal scorer, and when you've got a player in the box like that who can score goals, it's Vardy you wanted to fall to, and it did, and we got the goal deservedly in the second half.
And also his character, his general character as a human being is, if he misses one, yes, missing chances are not scored for 20-odd games, affects everybody, every striker, or if you don't keep clean sheets, but in essence, if he misses a chance, he can't wait to get back and say, right, give me the next one. Because that is his general character. I need to make amends for this.
Well, we've seen clips last year when he missed a chance, he'd punch the floor up, punch himself in the face, and then 2 minutes later he'd score, just to keep him up for it. And you can see the passion when he scores as well. He still loves playing the game, still scoring goals.
He had a really good chance to win it, actually. So did Wilfred and Ndidi. We can see both of those chances that, in a weird way, because of the first half, it sounds strange saying it, but you're almost disappointed Leicester didn't go and get the 3 points.
Well, that was the momentum, weren't it, after the goal? We seeing it just changed with the goal. Everyone was getting 5 yards up the pitch. Everyone was closing down a little bit more. Ousty keeper wanted to play the game, and we seen Wilfred there as well. Another chance after the game, keeper going crazy. But yeah, that one on his left foot, Vards would have been disappointed. He'd probably want to go more across the keeper there.
Is that a bigger chance than it looks like, or not?
That's hard again. He's got to generate pace again, hasn't he?
Correct. He's not running onto it and jumping, so you generate the pace with your neck muscles. He's done exactly the right thing, Wilfred. Headed down into the ground, because that's the only way you can get any sort of pace on that header. And he's not coming on. He's not leaning back, but his body balance is slightly off.
Behind him.
It's behind him a touch, isn't it? So it's impossible to generate the pace. So he's tried his best there. So no fault there, Wilfred. Decent save from the keeper.
And then the Vardy one. It was a great move, actually, wasn't it?
It was,
in the build-up to it. It would have been early, but it would have been a shout for certainly, goal of the month. And moving forward, the move was so good.
Well, that's Vards of playing on the last line of defence, waiting for that chance, which he begs for in every single game. And it was a great ball through. Runs onto a perfect way to pass. Left foot, ideally, you want to go across the keeper to make a keeper save it, and maybe there's a tap in for somebody else. It's fair to Vicario. Vicario makes a really good save, and
I think he reads it well, the keeper. He doesn't just think, oh, I've got to protect my near post. At all counts. I think he actually looks at where Vardy's going to try and put it with his left foot, and he actually comes across and reads it really well. So it is a good save. You could say he could have slotted it in further into the the bottom right-hand corner, but under pressure, first game of the season, you know, he's hit the target. The keeper's made a good save.
I mean, you know Vard's probably more than anyone, Nuge, that he will have enjoyed the little moment that he had with the Tottenham Hotspur fans, won't he, in the second half, just as he was coming off the pitch.
Yeah, just proving his point. You know, he gets to stick every game he plays in, doesn't he? And he was just proving a point, putting to the Premier League by saying he's got one, Tottenham have got zero. I don't think Christian Romero liked that either, did he? He had a bit of beef with Romero, you know, walking off the pitch. You know, you can see him having a little beef now, but that's typical Vard.
That's
what he does.
Because
he scored a goal. He's won us a point, and you know he's got the right to give Spurs fans a bit of stick because you know if he can take it, you know you can give it back as well.
Premier League's a much better place with him in it, Jerry. Isn't it?
Without a doubt, he's such a character, isn't he? And he never a dull moment with him on a football pitch. So all parts of him.
All parts of it. Right. Let's hear from Steve Cooper then. The Leicester City manager has been speaking ahead of the first away game of this new season.
Mark has obviously been there a good few years now and has built a really good way and a good team. And obviously they're the same as us, trying to add players, and I've added players recently. You know, we need to be ready for that. But yeah, obviously a really well coached team and full of players that can make a difference. But I think what we learned from the other night more than anything else is about if we don't do what we can do, then you know the opponent. It ends up being irrelevant because you know this is the Premier League. So every game that we play, we could talk about the opponent and say where the strengths are and how good they are and all that sort of stuff. But you know, it was a great reminder the other day against Spurs that if we don't look after ourselves, then you know you're not able to look after anything else. So that's really where our focus is.
Does Marco Silva similarly, from what you can see, have a style that maybe you are aware of that you can use?
Definitely aware of, yeah, and that's normal when you prepare for a game. The amount of detail that you can go into now is everything's available. You know, from observation, from past experiences, from data. You know, you can bring as much as you want now into a table in analysing an opponent, putting a game plan together, and of course all of them things happens, but especially at Premier League because resources are there to be able to do that. But I go back to if you don't look after yourselves and you don't implement in our way, our style, our intentions, whoever we're playing against, then you know I don't think the game goes as you want it to go anyway. And that's really where our focus is. It's about really sort of becoming really good at what we want to be and how we want to go about it. And that's really where our focus is. We'll respect every opponent. Tough game on the weekend, of course, Premier League football. But if we don't go there with the ambition of this is how we play, then I think you give yourselves more of a chance of coming up short than succeeding.
That was Steve Cooper speaking to the media ahead of this game with Fulham. I feel like every time he speaks, Jerry, you want to listen, don't you? And he comes across really well, and I think the Leicester fans respect and do care about what he's got to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's not like he's trying to peel the game back as such, but he's trying to keep everything as simple as possible as well from the players. You know, I've had a few words with him. He's realistic about what he has as well. He doesn't try and overcomplicate it. He's not trying to ask the players to do something that they can't do. And I think, you know, we see a lot of that in the modern game, especially. You know, certain coaches want to overcomplicate how their team's set up and not necessarily having the personnel to be able to do that. So, and as a manager, you have to find out very, very quickly indeed what you can and can't do as a group of players. And I think, you know, listening to him speak there, that's what he's trying to do. Find out where his team best fits in and how they best, what formation and style of football best suits him.
Well, he picked that man on your screen there, Nuge, Facundo Buonanotte, in the number 10 role behind the striker. He looked really bright, didn't he?
Yeah, he was really sharp against Tottenham. You know, even in the first half, he's probably one of the shining stars. He looked decent on the ball, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, you could see him, you know, a few
You can beat a player, can't you?
Again, he got that drop of the shoulder, you know, the drag back, you know, to beat a player. And, you know, but I think we've been missing that number 10 for quite a while, haven't we? Obviously, since Maddison left. We've not really replaced him, but he's the closest thing we've come to having someone like that in the hole who can get half turned and, you know, feed the balls forward. And to be fair, he works his socks off as well.
Yeah.
He runs and runs and runs, and that helps. You know, when you got a midfield behind you, if he goes, the two holders can, push up 5 yards, and we've seen that especially in the second half again.
And the physical side of the game as well. He looks slight, but he loves backing into defenders and feeling them and touching them. Because his feet are that quick. He loves the Megs, by the way, as well.
Yeah, he does.
He tried it about
a few, didn't he?
7 times the other night in the first half. But I love to see that. Even though he's slight in it and he's not the tallest or he's not the most muscular, he's not afraid to back in field defenders because he's got that low centre of gravity, that balance, that great balance that all good players have. It works in his favour.
It's the same with Bobby Decordova-Reid as well. He probably didn't have his best of games, but what you're going to get is an absolute workhorse of a player who'll run all day long. And we've seen that in the game. If you're not having a game, it still doesn't mean you can't run around and close people down and try and win the ball back. He's got workhorses in this team because he knows there's going to be a tough season, and we need these players to step up and work as hard as they can and try and earn points like they did against Tottenham through hard work and good play.
Yeah, he's clearly got that creativity. He almost got the assist for the Vardy goal with that fantastic move. Obviously would have done had Vardy put it into the back of the net. So as debuts go, it was a pretty good one.
It was sensational. I mean, he, in the first half, which was, didn't go according to plan, shall we say. He was the standout player because of he was always, looking to go forward with a ball. He was always trying to be positive. He pulled off a few megs. You could see a few nice passes as well. And then, as you say, that build-up move to the Jamie Vardy chance was, I mean, Steve Cooper would have been absolutely waxing lyrical on the bench for that. I'd have been right. That's exactly what I wanted to see. That was a thing of beauty, apart from obviously the ball not going into the back line net.
That's the sort of thing that they'll take confidence from, though, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, again, you keep on saying about that momentum in the second half where we scored the goal and carried it on. You need to take this into the Fulham game. You can't just sit back and let Fulham just dictate the play like Tottenham did at our place, because it's going to be for another, tough 45 minutes. It's going to be different away from home a little bit, so we're going to have to sit in.
How do you
and try? It's going to be hard. You expect them to sit in a little bit more, but then try and counter attack.
Yeah, not sit as deep as and allow the two centre half, because Fulham will play a similar type of football to Tottenham. So you've got to get the balance right between. Naturally, you're going to have to soak up the pressure because Fulham are the home team, Leicester are the away team. It's going to happen. That's the law of averages. That's the way football works. But you've got to be ready to go, right, I tell you what, lads, now we're going to go and press them high up the pitch and put them under a bit of pressure.
And they're Fulham coming off a defeat as well, so obviously against Man United, probably unlucky enough to get something out of that game. So, they'll still be buoyed from their result, even though they got beat. They've got a lot of pace on the wings, with Traore and Ayew under the side. So, the two fullbacks could be in for a tough job today if they can't, get a handle of Troy especially. Yeah,
we'll go to Matt Elliott in just a moment. He's on co-commentary for us. But actually, to pick up on that point, the fullbacks actually, Jerry, Christensen came back from his loan, of course, started, played really well, didn't he? James Justin played really well on Monday, and we see those two again this afternoon. Has that surprised you?
No. I thought they were both excellent, and fair play to Victor Christensen for coming back in and doing so well. Different type of opponent tonight, as New just said, in Adama Traore, probably on that right-hand side, I would have thought. He's just an out-and-out speed merchant, so he's got a different. It's going to be a different dynamic for him to try and deal with that, but that doesn't mean he can't. And James Justin on the other side, I mean, he looked as good as I've seen him on Monday night. I thought at times last season he struggled at times under Maresca with his total football. But the other night, again, it was sort of peeled back slightly for him. The game was simplified for him. This is what I think you're best at. This is what I want you to do. And he absolutely flourished on Monday night.
And he don't play inverted fullback, Steve Cooper, does he? So you won't see James Justin or Christensen coming inside to the midfield to make the extra player.
If anything, it's the opposite.
They stay right back and left back. They run forward, they run back in a straight line. There's no going inside. And I played with Adama at Middlesbrough, and trust me when I say he's a speed merchant, you can't catch him. He's covered in oil.
I'll knock him off the ball,
he's covered in oil. He'll knock it and go, and his end product's not the best, but he's a live wire, and it'll be a tough show if Christian doesn't get all the early doors.
Well, that's a key factor. If we all know about his end product, keep him down the line and keep him wide, because 7 times out of 10, there's a good chance the ball could go where it's not meant to go, basically. So law of averages.
Yeah, well, speaking of live wires, listening into this conversation is Matt Elliott. He is in the press box down in West London for us. Good afternoon to you, Matt. How are you? We can see you, in fact.
Yep, good for you to see me, I'm sure. But yeah, all good, mate. Thank you. Been listening to the boys the last 10, 15 minutes or so. Long journey, as usual, just the 3.5 hours. took me half hour to work out the parking app. I had no chance on that one, but got here eventually, bumped into a few characters. Paul Williams, the old centre-half, Southampton and Derby down in Tony Gale, tags, you know, Gailey pretty well. And above all else, certain Billy McKinley is sitting only about 10 rows behind me, ex-Leicester City player. Used to be a lodger at my house, believe it or not, although lodgers are meant to pay rent and he didn't.
Matt, tags here, mate.
Hello, mate, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. You heard about your journey. 2 questions for you, mate. First one, the game today.
Yeah.
And how you think Leicester can get something out of this?
Yeah, it's going to be, well, always is intriguing to watch Leicester perform, but after that game on Monday night, you know, you're sort of wondering which way Leicester going to go about their game today, you know, on the back of that performance on Monday, because they obviously set their stall out initially. That didn't work, and they were fortunate to just be the 1-0 down, weren't they? Changed things, up the ante a bit more pressure, energy, intensity, all those words about their game, and it was sort of as simple as that. I'm sure there were a few tactical tweaks as well, but you know, away from home, first of all, are they going to be able to play as energised as they did in that second half for a full 90 minutes? More often than not, no. So they're going to have to sort of play in phases of the game, but are they going to try and press and harry and hassle like they did in the second 45 from the off? Because when they sat off, Tottenham picked them off, and Fulham are a capable side, especially at home, aren't they? So finding that balance, I suppose, Tags, really, you know, choosing when to drop off and defend and contain, and when to go for the throat a little bit. But they're going to have to show a little bit more of an attacking threat, more consistently, I think, not just in this game, but throughout the course of the season, if they're going to prevail. So whatever they do, it's going to be difficult under the conditions that we're facing here, because the rain is absolutely teeming down. Pitch perfect, as you'd imagine, but the conditions, very difficult indeed.
Right. Second question, Matt. Away day meals.
Oh, we're back on that theme, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little story for that.
My tummy's rumbling a bit here. So
well, someone I didn't mention that I also bumped into is our own Matty Fryer, who's down here, and I was in the food area, Tags, and the young lady said to me, vegan or meat option? Matty Fryer just shouted over, what a ridiculous question. Promptly the meat option turned up. Chicken curry, lovely, mate. Beautiful. Rice, naan breads, onion barges, and a sprinkling of salad on top. Beautiful.
fantastic.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. We'll hear from you again as you are on co-commentary duty for us, alongside Chris Parrott this afternoon down at Craven Cottage. He made interesting points, didn't he, Matt, about the style of play, what to expect, similar to what you two really were talking about earlier. And I guess that's the point, that because we're in a new era, with a new manager, in a new league, as you can say, obviously after last season, that we don't really know what to expect yet.
No, but we've seen 2 halves, didn't we, in the first game? One we just sat too deep. And then the second half, we just went up the field 5-10 yards, and it made a total difference. So ideally, we'd want to see the second half performance today, but then we're playing away from home, which might set us back 5 yards again. So we just don't know. Yeah, we need a good 5, 6, 7 games before we see the real, Steve Cooper sign. And
the other good point was Matt said was that, if you're going to play like you did in the second half, from the beginning of the game, it's very, very difficult to keep that up for 90 minutes, and that's where the balance comes in. Where
choose when to go.
You're going to have to sit back and soak it up because of the way Fulham play. They're a good footballing side. They've got some talented players in the team, and so inevitably that is going to happen where you're pushed back. But it's understanding when to go and what times to go.
Yeah, it's going to be like counter-attacking football sometimes, isn't it? He's got to pick and choose when to do it. We're going to have to sit in, invite pressure, and then try and break. with the Bonanates, the Decadova Reeds, the Vardys and the Fataus, they're the players that are going to win the game today. So it's pick and choose when to do it. It could work in our favour. We've seen it under Ranieri, didn't we? Counter-attacking football at its best when they won the Premier League. So we need to see a bit of that today if we do so.
Bring the energy, bring the same energy. That's the most important thing.
Well, one of those players that certainly brings energy at the back end of the pitch is Wout Faes in central defence. He started alongside Yannick Vestergaard, of course, against Tottenham. He does so again this afternoon down at Fulham, and he's been previewing this game.
A good one then, I think, in the end. I think the first half was very difficult. Maybe getting back in the Premier League was a bit, I wouldn't say a shock, but a bit of maybe a bit difficult, I'd say. But then obviously in the second half we said we will go all in. I think that's what we did, and I think it shows that we are capable of doing it as well in the Premier League, so that's a good thing.
There was a few sort of nerves to settle, it felt like, at the start. Is that fair?
Yeah, I wouldn't say nerves, because I think most of the players do have the experience of playing in the Premier League, but it's always, a first game is always particular, and then obviously we played against a very good side, but after all, like we said, luckily we only conceded one goal in the first half, and we were still in the game, so we said in halftime, let's just go for it and put them under pressure, and that's what we did.
What were the things from that match that you feel you need to work on then as a team?
You've always got points to work on, but I think, the bravery to play out of their press. I think in the first half we lacked maybe a bit of forward passing. Afterwards, I think we were compact in defending the box, so that's something we did well. But I think we want to be a bit higher up the pitch as well as a team, because then we're close to their goal to be dangerous at their half.
What's working with Steve Cooper like?
It's nice. It's a totally different thing from last year, but also it's a different league, so we might have needed some adaptations. He said as well that we did amazing in the championship and we bounced straight back, but obviously he has got some little adjustments that he wants to bring in the side, and he got his own stamp, let's say, his own personality, but we enjoy working with him.
And in terms of your specific role in the team, what effect has he had on the way that you play so far?
He's given me a lot of responsibility. He wants me to be a leader as well on the pitch, and he trusts me, so that's a nice thing to feel the confidence as a player.
And is that something that you embrace as well, being a leader in this side?
Yeah, I think you have to. If you're a defender, you see almost all the play in front of you, so you try to encourage and give some small adjustments to the teammates if possible. Yeah.
What do you think about the challenge of going to Craven Cottage at the weekend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. They're a good side. They've had a good season last year as well. Lost a few players, but that's always the case when you make a good season. They kept their manager, who I think is a good manager. He's done some good years over there. Obviously, they didn't have the result that they wanted last weekend, so they'll be ready to get going at home. But I think we can go there with a lot of confidence and hopefully get our first 3 points.
That is Wout Faes there, hoping for the first 3 points of this new season away at Fulham. If you missed team news earlier, we've got a quick recap for you. That man Wout Faes does indeed start at the back. In fact, Leicester City are unchanged from the side that got a point against Tottenham on Monday. That means it's Hermansen in goal, Christiansen, Faes, Vestergaard and Justin. The back four, Winks and Ndidi in midfield with Decadova Reed, Buonanotte and Fatawu supporting Jamie Vardy. A couple of headlines on the bench, Oliver Skipp and Jordan Ayew could be in line to make their first appearances for the club. From a Fulham point of view, here's how the hosts shape up. News has been talking about those wingers, Iwobi and Adama. Obviously, they'll need to be quietened during the game. Smith Rowe, big new money signing. He starts just behind Muniz up top. Behind them, they've got Lukic and Andreas Pereira, Robinson, Bassi, Diop and Tete at the back four, with Bernd Leno in goal. When you look at their team, it is a strong team, and it's clear to see why they've achieved what they've achieved under Marco Silva. 4 seasons there now. Well, this is his 4th, 3 of them now in the Premier League. It's quite impressive what he's done.
Yeah, they're no fools. They're a good footballing side. Marco Silva likes to, play his football style, but again, it'll give chances to Leicester the way they play. But yeah, look at the Emile Smith Rowe, from Arsenal, great signing. No, I really like him. Anderson from Crystal Palace, centre half, really solid defender. So he's made some astute signings, and I think it'll be a tough game. But as Wout Faes said in that interview, he wants 3 points, but you'll snap your hand off for one away from home for the first away game.
I think as well, you know, you just mentioned Smith Rowe, that number 10 role where it looks like he's going to play is going to be pivotal today. Leicester have to get that absolutely spot on between the midfield and the defence line, because he is a good player. He is a good signing for them. But on the flip side, Dan, you know, we've got Bobby Decker-Dover-Reid, who's Steve Cooper will have been absolutely tune his ear off to get some insights into how Marco Silva sets his team up. So, and that's probably been happening all week. So maybe, you know, Decker-Dover-Reid give us a little bit of insight to try and stop the likes of Smith Rowe getting any joy today.
Yeah.
I know I would be if I was the manager. Or if I was Decker-Dover-Reid, I'd be going into the manager and saying, listen, boss, listen, Bob.
he's probably been the manager for a week, probably Decker-Dover-Reid, you know, telling the lads what to do. But yeah, it'll be intriguing to see if he did help. You think he would have, you know, being there for so long as a player, you know, so he knows the players inside out. So it's going to be a tough game no matter what. I think every Premier League is a tough game, and Fulham away on paper, you think, we can get something out of this. But that doesn't mean anything in the Premier League. The top players that play in this league, and it's going to be tough no matter what.
Tough place to go, Craven Cottage. It's a tight little ground. The crowd are on top. Yeah, it's a good atmosphere there. You know, it can unsettle people.
A few more fans now. They've got a new stadium. It's all built now, and it's all up and ready to go.
I don't think it's quite ready yet for today. I think there's some fans in it, but
see
not,
a couple,
not full. But still, they obviously they're trying to do things the right way, if you like. But let's concentrate from a Leicester point of view on Bobby Decker-Dover-Reid against his old club. How often do you see a player score against a former club? How we'd love to see that today.
Yeah, it always happens. And the amount of times you see a player score against the former club on the first return, you know, it happens so many times, and hopefully in our case tonight or today it'll happen for Bobby. As I said earlier, you know, he didn't have probably his best of games in his first game for Leicester, but what he does give you is that 100% effort every game, and I think that's vital. You know, even more away from home.
I think the game last week will do him the world of good. You know, he lasted. I think when I watched him in pre-season, I didn't think he looked as if he was up to speed fitness-wise. But he lasted the game well the other night, and so that will only do him good coming into today's game.
Yeah, I guess he is getting up to speed really again after a pre-season, and not necessarily maybe knowing exactly where he was going to be at the start of the summer. To now being at Leicester, of course.
Well, he's another player who's played multiple years in the Premier League again, which is vital. You know, a new player coming in. You know, so I think that's what Steve Cooper's tried to do, is bring players in who've been there. You know, Skip, Premier League with Tottenham, Ayew, Crystal Palace, Decker-Dover-Reid with Fulham. So, and hopefully he can bring more experience into the team that know the Premier League and make the squad stronger. But yeah, I like him. You know, he works his socks off. Again, not prolific, but as Steve Cooper said, you know, he wants a team who works hard, work very high, and win the ball up high and create chances that way. And we've seen another Fulham signing on the screen there, aren't we?
Two. So Sanderberg and Joe Manson. We won't see them today in action for Fulham. But final couple of points really from the both of you looking ahead to the game. It'd be really good, as we've already said, to just continue that momentum that was clearly built in the second half against Tottenham.
Yeah, absolutely vital. I mean, there was a bit of uncertainty, wasn't there, about this season, you know, losing the manager and a new manager coming in who might, you know, at the beginning might not have been, you know, the favourite choice of many people. And then trying to trawl through the transfer market to try and find the best players. But they showed on Monday night that they're capable of competing with the top teams in this league. And it's no different today. It's all about carrying the momentum and that confidence and those standards that you made in that second half. It's vital that you bring them into today's game.
Yeah, Jerry said, totally different manager. You know, one manager plays the total football, ticket-tacker football from the back. Steve Cooper's had to come in with those set of players that Enzo bought and try and mould the team together to play his style of play. So it will take time to get used to the style of play that Steve Cooper wants. But what we could see from the Tottenham game in the second half is what he's about, and we need to carry that on into today's game and try and focus on the way we played in the second half rather than the first half.
Yeah, because there was some real collective goodwill that was gathered from that second half, wasn't there? And you could see that from the supporters. They were fantastic here, particularly in the second half. The supporters,
you know, you've got to back your team. You got to back your manager, and in that second half, some of the football was sublime, and you know, and that's what will keep the fans buoyed. You know, seeing Buonanotte come in, you know, a bit of an unknown. Yes, he's played for Brighton in the Premier League, but still a bit of an unknown. as Leicester were in the Championship, and a lot of the fans would have been concentrating on what Leicester were doing and not necessarily what Brighton were doing. But to see this young guy come in and set the place alight like he did, I mean, that just give everybody a boost straight away.
Yeah, hopefully so. And there's options on the bench as well. Players like Jordan Ayew and Oliver Skipp that could also give Leicester City a boost today in their first away trip of this new season. It's down in London, of course. In fact, the next couple away games are also down in London. But Leicester looking under Steve Cooper to build upon that 1-1 draw with Tottenham just under a week ago, thanks to this Jamie Vardy header. We've got live commentary coming up next, so do not go anywhere.